All right. Hello.
Hello.
That is our first Golden Nuggets business talk video. If some of you joined us for pretty much last year, every Sunday, Tara and I used to go live on Facebook for business talk, and we would talk about anything to do with business management and business, running a business as a woman in business, and particularly as a mum in business, because both of us have womb fruit and we're both business owners with varying degrees of success depending on global pandemics and how we feel that day. So we are excited to be with you guys.
I love it. I'm so happy that we're back.
Yeah,
really, because it's a great excuse to just talk to you.
Totally awesome. So it is a little bit late at night, so we've got the comments section open. If you are watching this after the fact, that's not a problem. Tara and I will be all over this shit like a rash, okay? So if you want to post a comment now and you're watching it tomorrow or sometime in the future, we'll still see it and we'll be able to answer you or connect with you in some way. So feel free, if you do want to post comments in the comment section while we are live. If we are in the mood and we like what you have to say, we will put your comment up on the screen with us and be able to answer your questions. So we have got something that we need to deal with tonight. We are going to be going through a list of the top 50 best business quotes for small to medium enterprise owners. I think that's pretty cool. What do you guys think? It's nice to pick the brains of people who have been successful. Hearing what their ultimate quote is pretty cool. And then we'll kind of pick those quotes apart. Hey, Tara, we'll say where we think there's merit and what we would change or, add our 2 cents. So we've called this show Golden Nugget because our show was called Business Talk. And what happened was we would just get really excited and just start dropping truth and dropping stories. And people would say, oh, Golden Nugget, you just gave us another Golden Nugget. And hashtag Golden Nugget became a thing. So if you hear something that we say and it just rings true and you're like, yes, I'm going to use that in my business, put down hashtag Golden Nugget. Even if it's just something that makes you feel good, hashtag Golden Nugget. Let's drop some Golden Nuggets tonight, guys. So, yeah. I'm excited.
That almost sounds a bit dirty, but I get you.
It's dirty business, baby. Now, what I love about Tara, guys, if you have not seen her and you haven't seen the business talk videos from last year, Tara is a fountain of knowledge, a fountain of wisdom. I don't know if it's fount or fountain, but I'm calling you a fountain because you're fucking fabulous. I love your mind. I think you're one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. You have such a wealth and passion for work, a wealth of knowledge for work, and you really want to help business people to succeed. And you do have a soft spot for mums in business and for female entrepreneurs. And I just think that's wonderful. So I'm really glad that you've agreed to come on board and do this show with me. I think it's awesome.
Oh, of course. And it's an honor to be asked. You've got your fingers in so many pies. I love it. So to be able to fit into your busy schedule is a true honor.
I tell you what, it's crazy. So my calendar looks like a Tetris game, like after it's done, like everything's added together. So we are going to have a look at our quote for today. So let's have a look at that. All right. So if we tried to think of a good idea, we wouldn't have been able to think of a good idea. You just have to find the solution for a problem in your own life. Brian Chesky, co-founder of Airbnb. What are your thoughts on this?
True that. I mean, I've come across so many people. So I work with people from, that seed and that idea sort of stage, the testing and trialing, through to established business, especially now businesses who are trying to pivot, come up with something new. And it really is that thing like when you sit down, you go, okay, I just have to come up with that $1 million idea. Just think, brain, think. It becomes like the itch that you just can't scratch, you know, and the harder you try to think of something brilliant, right, the more it's going to elude you. So I always direct people back to like, what are some of the greatest, you know, innovations and brilliant businesses of our time? And I always tell people to think of something that sort of resonates with you, but you can think of Netflix, I mean, Airbnb, Uber, things like that. They came from taking two known things, two known existent services, businesses, whatever, and then put them together, right? Then that creates innovation. That creates the next new idea. Right? But they were solving problems. So two things that we already knew, smash them together to be the next solution for this current problem, and then it worked. You know, otherwise, if you're just a solution, then you become like a nice to have. No one really understands why they really need you. And if they don't really need you, well, then you're not going to be used. You know, it just doesn't work out. So that I think the harder you try and think and you put that pressure on yourself as well, pressure of what is a good idea. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I can't actually tell you what constitutes a good idea.
Yeah.
But when someone comes out and goes, hey, there's this problem, and I think I've got a kind of solution that might work, you go, now you're talking. But a good idea in and of itself, I don't know.
Yeah. So let's just break it down. Let's have a look at that now.
Yeah.
So he's saying there that if they had, the Airbnb people, if they had sat down and just simply been thinking of a good idea for the sake of good idea, there would be no Airbnb.
No, absolutely not.
We touched on this last year, babe. We touched on this last year when we were saying, look around you, look at your surroundings, look for a loophole, look for a missing service, look for something that is needed, that is not being provided, and then make it happen.
And make it happen.
Your solution to the problem. Don't sit around waiting for some genius plan. Like that's, I think a lot of people, especially people who are wanting to go into their own business, they seem to forget that there is no magical solution for any of us. We are all swimming, especially people who are running their own business.
Making it up as we go along.
We are, until such time as we find our calling, we find our thing we are meant to do. And in which case, even then, you need help from people who are more knowledgeable. You need to be leaning on wiser people. Even then, even I'm sure Richard Branson is still kind of, you know, learning new things, finding out new things, either through being fined or penalized or not sure or running, or suddenly the money's going down. You know, business is just organic. It's so organic when you are at the small to moderate enterprise startup phase. There's so many variables and so much that you still have to work out, and you can't put pressure on yourself to have all the answers straight away. Just look for a problem and solve it.
Yeah. It really, I mean, it sounds like it's oversimplified, but that is actually it. And the problem is that people think that it's more complicated, like, oh, there's got to be more to it. And you go, there really isn't. Especially when you're starting out, you have to be so clear on that problem. So I'm glad you brought up Richard Branson, because he's such a great, him and Virgin is such a great example. And I know you brought this to my awareness, and I now use it as an example in everything that I do and every time I talk to people. But Virgin, think of what Virgin does. I mean, if we go back to what Virgin originally did, they were like music records, record stores
or something. He had, Phil Collins was a taxi driver, and he got in the back seat and he was playing Coming in the Air Tonight or whatever, and he was like, oh, that's pretty good, and he was like, yeah, that's me, it's my band, and that was it. that was the start of everything. Apparently, it's an urban legend, but
yeah. So it's really
a millionaire. It's
yeah.
little steps. Yeah.
That's where they started. And now what do? They've got their fingers in so many different pies, but it's all virgin. Like, we don't question why is now this record company doing phones, doing gyms, doing insurance, doing, planes. And more recently, what did he see? What did Richard Branson see as what is the current problem? What is the current gap in the market? Well, commercialized space travel. So he tried it. He saw a gap and he was like, I'm going to do it. Now, that epically failed. Not because it wasn't a good idea or whatever, but just logistically, shit actually blew up. It didn't work out. So this is the point. You have to look, where is the gap in your market? Now, I'll give you another example. One of my clients at the moment, they are in the performing arts and travel industry. So they bring people, up and coming artists and performers from Australia over to LA to have an LA experience and to meet key people and blah, blah, blah. So they're in performing arts and travel. And what has pandemic really fucked up for everyone? The performing arts and the travel industry. So they were screwed, like right from the start of the year. They were very quickly able to modify what they did because they're so embedded and established in the industry that they could see, well, what are the trends and what's missing? So really, in the performing arts, there's not too many kind of online dedicated courses. And so they've created this course, the art, the artist, and the business. So they're helping up-and-coming artists establish themselves and get into a business mindset, help themselves in terms of their own growth, personal growth and development and empowerment, as well as continue building their strengths and skills in their art. Fantastic. So this has taken off. It is such a simple idea. I keep coming back to this. Like you said, it's solving a problem. It is the most simplistic ideas are the best. They went, online courses exist for everything else. There's not that much in terms of developing someone in the arts. We rely so heavily in the performing arts, and you know this too, Sandy, of like physically going to a class, physically being in the space. And yes, that's the best. But in this sort of situation, why not do more sort of online courses to develop your skills and connect to people globally rather than just in your physical area? So they're still being able to carry on what they do in the online space, package it, right? Package what was a service into now a product, and now it's just exploding. It is exploding and expanding. And when COVID passed and we can travel again and the performing and the entertainment industry boosts, they're fucking ready to go. They're just going to soar even higher. So
that's part of the challenge too, isn't it? It's seeing the problem, solving it. But then, you've got to be flexible. So they've solved an original problem. They were faced with a pandemic. They solved the next problem. Now, when the pandemic's over, they technically can choose between the two or run both. And then haven't they actually expanded? Exactly. So instead of being crushed by a challenge, the problem, they've solved it and set themselves up to have both running.
Yep. Expanding their income stream. So the next challenge, which is what we're working on now, is for them to have the capacity to do so. So they got to set themselves up, all their systems and processes ready. So when this huge influx happens, which is a very nice problem to have, but it was just so simple. And I think that's really key. And again, especially from the Airbnb guys, how did they come up with this? Well, there was a big conference in their area and they overbooked it. And so there was actually no accommodation. So they said to people, hey, we've got a blow up mattress. Come sleep on our blow up mattress or on our couch, like couch surfing was already a kind of a thing. Right. So they took something that was already known. They saw a need and they kind of just combined it together. Yeah. Right. And so that's how Airbnb started, from them sort of just renting out their shitty blow up mattress on the floor.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
and it's exploded.
yeah. So on a funny note, my partner and I were going away for 10 days for a holiday. And we are like 20 meters away from a small restaurant that's sort of a house that's been turned into a very lovely restaurant with a view of Terrigal. And as we were leaving, she said, we should put a sign up saying free parking and just put the PayPal link on a board and just have it there in the driveway, and just take it down when we get back. And I was like, that is brilliant. Like, just, earn money off your driveway. But then I was like, yeah, no, then people will know we're not home. Come home to a few cracked windows and someone's had a nice day.
Damn it. But it was the start, though. That's it. That's how it starts. You go, great, here's an idea. Yeah. Cool. Let's build on it. Yes, and let's build on it. I think far too many people go or shut down their ideas too quickly. Because honestly, and you and I know this, your first idea is honestly not the best idea, right? It takes a while and building and scaffolding upon it, right?
Yes, sorry, Cara, just forgive me. I've done a boo-boo here. I was trying to open up this beauty for us to just look at, and I had the other one ready to go. So I had cross-combobulated my pre-organization.
That's all right. That's all right. People can see my podcast. That's fine.
Now they've seen it before it's time.
Oh, before the big reveal.
This is cranberry before we do this.
That's all right. I'm on my second wine. It's all good. It all works out.
Tossed my earpiece. Last night in the video, I think I tossed a small green rabbit and I tossed a baseball during one of my videos. So I've tossed paper now.
Does that make you a tosser?
I am.
Is that what we say?
Thank you for that. We have a message popping up on the screen now.
Renee! Hey. Love it.
So yeah, if you guys post a comment in the comment section, we will pop it up on the screen and say hi and give you a shout out. If you have a local business,
what your good ideas are.
Business in the comments. We'll put it up there.
Do you remember? And I'm saying like pre-baby, remember? So way back. When you used to sit around drinking with your friends and you go, yeah, this is a really good idea. People go, yeah. And then, and all together you start sort of, freestyling these ideas. And what if you did this? And what if you did that? And then you wake up the next morning and you go, I'm too hungover to think about it. Or you just don't act on it. But do you remember those times where you're sitting around and you're like, what if we did this? Or we created this? You just kind of freeball.
I love that.
Those are the best times, and really, like it worked because you were drinking or high or whatever, and you don't have any of those those judgments, because it's those judgments that get in the way. Like we all have good ideas. I was listening to the late and great Sir Ken Robinson, who talks about creativity in education. Beautiful, beautiful man. And he was defining what is creativity. And his commitment was that we are all creative. We are all creative at our core. But the difference between like a good idea or inspiration and creativity is actually your ability to act upon a good idea, and a good idea that adds value. Okay. And he defined that's what creativity is. It's the ability to act on a good idea that adds value. So this is huge. And we talk about it, and we've talked about it before in business talks where, so many people go, oh, yeah, I've got a good idea, and then do nothing about it. And you go, well, a good idea in and of itself is bullshit, is nothing. Like there's nothing to it. We all have great ideas. It's when you actually act on it, and it's not whether the outcome succeeds or fails. Like it's regardless of the outcome, if you're willing to act on a good idea that adds value, i.e. solves a problem, then you're doing the world some good. Then you are achieving, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, because it may fail in the arse, right? Again, example, Sir Richard Branson, very smart, established businessman, fucking failed in the arse with his, space travel, commercialized space travel, right? But you got to try. Like, you've got to try. And I think that's really the key part of it. So, guys, if you've got a good idea, put it in here. I'm so sick of people going, oh, I'm scared someone's going to steal it, right? I see good ideas all the time, and you go, yeah, I can't be asked to act on that good idea, but it's a good idea.
No, exactly. So I was just going to say, before I forget, what I've loved is my youngest daughter. She is that kind of person that has 100 business ideas, and she's 10, and she'll go, oh, we could do this or we could do that. And it's so lovely hearing her just bubble up with these ideas and creative concepts. And some of it's already being done, but she's come up with it without knowing. And you were just saying that, about taking an idea and taking action and then turning it into something real. So today we play a game called Among Us, and it's quite a popular game that a lot of people are playing at the moment. It's actually blown up and gone viral. And everyone in the game is this little spaceman, and you're one color. So there's certain colors, and then you can have different hats and things and buy extra sort of accessories. And Kels came home and she had drawn her own one on paper, as if she could have any design in the world, she would have this. But, you can't. It's a limit to how much you can do. So I went ahead and I took her paper drawing and I made her one.
Oh, nice.
So that was her paper design. Yes. And so I just sat for about 10 minutes and added all the colors in exactly like her little drawing. And there she was, and she was thrilled. But it showed her, like, firstly, right, having a skill set is important. The fact that I was able to take her idea and within 20 minutes make it real, a reality, that was a bit of a mind blow. And just having the creativity to go ahead and just do it, taking immediate action on an idea that she had. So I was hoping that those would leave an impression, that there would be a mark left behind. So before I carry on, I wanted to just let everyone know. So you have got a whole lot of stuff going on. So you run the Business Mastery Tribe. So you'll post your links and stuff in the comments as soon as the video is done. So I just wanted to show everybody your podcast quickly. So that's what I had open earlier, and I opened it a bit too soon. So people can find you on Spotify. So Business Mastery Podcast. You don't have to have a paid subscription, and it sounds pretty damn good.
You can find it everywhere. And so this particular one that you're showing is.
So this is actually on the topic that we're talking about.
Specifically about, knowing the problem you solve. And I talk to people about, I've got so many, I'm just talking over myself now, but I've got
there's a delay.
So many different frameworks that I work with. And I'm talking and breaking down the golden triangle about how you can come, it really divulges how you can come up with, again, and identify a solution to a specific problem. And I call it the golden triangle framework. And so, come join the podcast, because I interview some people. I've got to interview you. You're going to come on. Season 2 is about to drop very soon. But it's one really handy tips. It's really good, like, digestible bits of information that you need. But it's also then talking about other, again, entrepreneurs to reveal their story, because I think it's really over-glorified now. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. Every other dickhead is an entrepreneur, but not really. So, it's a bit of a real talk, as it always is with me. It's a bit of real talk. This is behind the scenes of what it is. It can be stressful if you're feeling lost, stuck. However, that is normal. It is okay to feel like that. So, so that's what the podcast is all about, and helping us master our business, so then we can keep, pursuing our passions and our purpose and having that impact on the world.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. It's really, really good, and it's an honorable thing, I think you and I remember we always decided that we were just going to be very real and very open and very vulnerable. If our business was not doing well at the time, we're going to talk about what that feels like, because when you're an entrepreneur, and I'm talking about micro businesses, small to moderate enterprises. But I focus mainly on micro businesses where it's you and your cat, and your cup of tea, and you're providing very real physical services to your immediate community or online that you do everything. It's not easy. It's exhausting. And sometimes financially you are fly and you look at your bank account and you're like, yes, we can get pizza today. And then the next day the client will cancel or something will fall through. And then, oh my God, okay, how do we pay rent? And that is the journey of a micro enterprise, simply because a lot of us don't have business experience. We don't have training. We don't have the technology that we need to run everything properly. We're all just trying our best to earn a living.
Yeah.
And everyone I've spoken to who's in a micro enterprise, they all have different reasons for doing so. A lot of the people I speak to are mothers, and their reason for doing so is to be with their kids. That was my reason before I kicked off my own company. I was the head of music and drama at a private school. And before that, I was head of music at a government school. And I had a career in mind. I was going to be this private school music and drama teacher for the rest of my life. I would never leave this specific school. It was a very, very good school, an old school. And there were a whole lot of plans in place for future development to build my own theater. And it was going to be a lovely job to retire into. But that's not the plans the universe had for me. And when I gave birth, I just realized in my heart that I needed to be home for my kids. There was no way I would be an absent mother. I couldn't do it. And I understand women who do work, and I have such respect for women who work away from the home full day. I honor you and lift you up because I think you're wonderful providers for your families. But I personally, that was an area of weakness for me. I couldn't do it. So I ended up stepping away from that job and then starting my own company. And that's what I've done. And it's been difficult. It would have been easier for me to just stay in full-time employment and, put my kids into aftercare and stuff. I would have had an easier life. I haven't had an easy life as a result. I've had a lot of loss. I haven't ever had a lot of money to blow. I haven't been able to take long holidays, nothing. But that was a choice. But that's my reason for doing what I'm doing. So everyone has their story and their reason. So why did you go into running your own thing? I know you did a dance school before, and then you were in Tanzania, I think, for a while. And then, so what inspired you to do your own business?
So I have always been in business for myself. I've had a couple of part-time jobs, particularly now being a mum, balancing that out. But mostly business for myself. I didn't really see it as a choice necessarily or a conscious choice. As soon as I graduated from uni, there was no one hiring. Literally, I could not get a job. So I thought, fuck it, I'll create a job for myself. And so that's what I did. It's like the arrogance of being 22 going, meh, I'll just do it myself. And there was there was no further thought on it. So I did it. And again, I keep looking back and going, it just happened to work out. But I'll tell people it worked out really well because there was a specific problem that I solved. Now, I wasn't conscious of it. That's why I say it just happened to work out. But I can look back now. It was also during a time of it was during the global financial crisis. 2008 is when it kicked off, and a lot of people were losing their jobs and their permanent employment, and that's where me and my company slipped in and we got in. And it, like I said, timing, we solved a specific problem at that time, and then it just escalated from there. So it really just happened to work out, and I underestimated that a lot when I went into my next business. But everything that I've done, I've kind of just fallen into it. So I think if you follow again what your interests, what your passions are, you follow where the opportunities are as well. And I know it's really hard to not panic about money and finances. And if you're in that space, then fuck it, go get yourself a part-time job. So that's what I've done now with kids. I'm like, okay, I'll get a part-time job just so I don't have to panic about that, sort of the finances. And now, thanks to the pandemic, you know, I said goodbye to that. And now I'm in my business full time. So, you know, you do what you have to do. And I think the moment you've got to start panicking about your finances and you make decisions from that space, then that's not doing yourself or your business any favors, you know. Not to say that you can't make smart financial decisions, absolutely not. But when you come from like that lack and that desperation, we're not actually making the best decisions. So, yeah, look, I've done several businesses, and because really, in all honesty, I don't like working for other people.
And on that note, very wise words. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is a half-hour show, so we are now going to close down the show. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Wherever you are in the world and over the next coming weeks, months, for popping in and having a listen. I hope that we've been of some help, and we will see you next week. Just watch out on Facebook for the notification and on YouTube for the notification for when we're going to have our next show. All right, guys, take care.